looks like I have that butterfly thing.
You've got... It looks like you've got what I've got. It's probably windburn.
But why wouldn't you get the rest of my face?
It's covered.
Yeah, here isn't.
You got a hat on. Hello everyone and welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
board games
and
board gamey things.
Exactly. We are here today to give you an update on our shelf of shame.
We're both wearing gray.
We're both wearing gray.
It's gray outside.
It's gray outside.
Jamie's feeling gray.
It's gray inside. That's for sure. In April, we focused the month on playing games from our shelf of shame. You may remember we put out a video about it. It was called Spring Cleaning. Doesn't feel like spring. 4 degrees outside.
Next week.
So when we started with this little journey at the beginning of April, we had a total of 160 board games on our shelf of shame. 21 of those were expansions and 10 were campaign games. So we kind of took those off the docket. So we were left with 129 games on our shelf of shame. Now to end off on our shelf of shame, if I look at our list, because I keep everything in my collection on my air table, we have 153 games on our shelf of shame. 21 of those are expansions, 9 are campaign games, because we did play one of our campaign games, leaving us with 123. And I know what you're thinking. That's terrible. That's only 6 games. But let me throw this curveball at you. We played 28 games off of our shelf of shame.
We have a net of 6?
Yeah.
6 played?
So
now you know why it's so difficult for us to get ahead.
That basically means we had that many games, new games come in, which we didn't even realize because they come in like one at a time. We get games sent from publishers. We buy games. Jeff went to Lancelot Games and bought some games.
Which is the first time we've bought games in a while.
We're not like actively buying them. They just appear here. And so it's impossible for us to knock our shelf of shame down.
I told Jamie we need to redefine what shelf of shame means.
We need to redefine what shelf of shame means. So
I say 3 months.
Yeah, if it's been on the shelf for 3 months,
it then is part of the shelf of shame.
Totally. So I'm gonna have to add a new layer to my spreadsheet, which I'm fine to do. I love adding layers to the spreadsheet. Anyways, as part of our Shelf of Shame month, as part of our spring cleaning, we had our Patreons vote on games from the shelf that they wanted us to play. And we were challenged to play 10 games. And I'm happy to say we played all 10 of those games.
Right down to the wire.
Right down to the wire. Literally the last day of April, we played one of these games.
Yep.
But we did it. So that's what this video is about. We're going to talk specifically about those 10 games. If you want to hear more about the other games that we played from our Shelf of Shame, you can go and watch our wrap-up. We just did that not that long ago.
Snacks.
And we ate some snacks. So the first one on the list we have talked about a couple of times now. And that is The Adventures of Robin Hood from Cosmos. This, I believe, was the campaign game that we knocked off the list. It's not really a campaign, but I think I had it marked as that because I didn't know better.
I think a lot of the times we'll throw in those scenario-based, because, like, Forgotten Waters technically isn't really, I guess it is kind of a campaign game, but, like, it's
hard to define. The Adventures of Robin Hood. We actually covered this in a board game snapshot, so we did a full review of it and overview, so we're probably not going to dive too much into that one, but this is kind of like an advent calendar scenario-based adventure type of game where you're playing as Robin Hood and the Merry Men and Maid Marian, and you're doing scenarios in a storybook and you're uncovering things, and it's so exciting. And this has been sitting on our Shelf of Shame since December of 2021. And it has actually been a game that for some reason we were pushing off because maybe we thought it was more intensive than it was.
I do think that is a big part of it. I thought it was way more campaign-y.
Yeah. But it wasn't. It's actually probably the easiest game to play. And
I thought there was going to be a ton of rules overhead. And there was basically none.
We covered it in the snapshot, but like this game is so good at literally you get a storybook and it'll be like, go here, do this. when this happens, this is what it means, and read this page. And it just teaches you as you go in such like a beautiful way that you don't need to be stressed about learning rules. If you're afraid of teaching games, but you want to get into like a campaign scenario-based game, this could be a great one to introduce to people. I think you could play it with a lot of different ages and different types of people, and the theme connects with people. I am very, very happy that this ended up on our list.
Agreed.
But what I will say, though, is this was the first one of the first ones that we played from the challenge. And immediately we were like, let's play it again. Let's play it again. And then we're like, oh no, we have to play more new games. Yeah. But it was a game that we both were like, let's just set it up and play it again. Let's just leave it set up and play it again. So it definitely made us want to play it more and more. Yeah. The next game that we were challenged to play was Decorum. This is a game that I've been super excited to play for a long time. Have you been super excited?
I was indifferent.
As much as me.
Yeah, I was indifferent on it.
We did end up playing this live on Twitch, so you can watch the video on demand on our second channel if you're interested. But basically, this is a game about passive-aggressively decorating your home. So I'll have certain objectives, Jeff will have certain objectives, and you can't tell each other what those are except for at certain points of the game, and that's just it. You're just trying to fulfill your objectives.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I'm not sure how you felt.
I don't know how I feel yet. We've only played two or three.
We did 2 on stream and then 1 before stream.
Okay, so we've only played 3 of the scenarios.
Yeah.
I do think it plays well into our dynamic because we are both very passive-aggressive with each other and sassy and stuff. Yeah. I enjoyed it, but it's just not my type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy that game as much as I possibly could for the type of game it is.
Right.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think one of the things that we struggled with is that you can't really ask questions because you'll give away your objectives. And some things maybe you might interpret different than somebody else. And so Jeff and I got to like a standstill in the first game that we played. We were very frustrated because I was like, what are you like? No, but I read my card wrong. So anyway, so it eventually will get to those moments.
It'll eventually get to a point where it just feels broken.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I feel like someone's interpreting a card wrong.
Yes. But then when we played it again, that didn't happen. I was like, oh, okay. And it gets more challenging as you progress. So I'm excited to continue playing it. I really liked it. I don't think I loved it as much as I wanted to love it, though.
I feel like it got a little bit overhyped for us, too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people love that game and were telling us how much they loved it.
Yeah.
And then I expected to love it, and I was like, it's fine.
Totally.
Next up on the list was Mosaic, a story
of civilization.
Mosaic, we have the big box, bigger heart version.
Yeah.
Mosaic is a civilization game that takes up too much table.
Do you have a mansion?
In my opinion.
It's not big enough. You need a bigger mansion.
Massive. But where it's massive, it is also super simplistic.
Wild.
There is a lot of iconography and that sort of thing, but the board and the actions are all very easily laid out on the board for you. You're just doing actions on your turn, like it might be to build a city, it might be to move some troops. All of these things in typical Civilization-esque game fare. Like, it's very typical Civilization game. It felt like playing Civ, the video game, the PC game, whatever you want to call it.
Sure. Yeah.
I didn't love it.
You didn't love it?
No.
Oh. I really, really, really liked it.
I really liked it, but I didn't love it.
It was too long.
It went. That's it. That was the only. I loved it for about the first hour and a half, and then I was like, "We have how much longer?"
It just kept going.
It just kept going
and maybe that's a problem of 2 players.
Yes. Caveat: we played it at 2-player, but I've talked to Zach, who always played it at 3 or 4, and he had a similar problem. Basically, the end game is triggered by like one of 2 things happening. It's like end scoring cards that will come up in the deck, but one stack of cards is like this big.
In the card somewhere within the bottom third.
One of the other ones is like there is kind of like victory point conditions that you're chasing after. Like the first person to have 4 military troops out in these areas will get this thing, for example. It's not exactly that, but you know what I mean. and those stacks are like this big, and you have to get rid of 2 of the 3 stacks. It gets to a point where like you have all the resources you need, and then you're just like, all right, I need 1 more card in order to get this. You're just like kind of going through the motions to get the cards, and I wish it had ended before that happened.
Yes, because it drug it out so long that we ended up getting kind of bored of what we were doing, and I'm like, I'm just doing the same things, and then it was.
We were just trying to be like, all right, how do we get to the end of the game?
It was funny because I was 1 away from clearing one of those piles, so I was just filtering through the technology. I'm like, every turn I'm just going to get a technology because I'm going to try and find this thing, and so I really liked it, though.
I very much enjoyed the mechanics and the gameplay of it.
Yeah.
I think if we were to play it again, I'd maybe like host rule something and be like, all right, if we get through like, I don't even know, like 1 stack.
Or I put the end scoring cards
a little bit
higher, or make the card stacks smaller or something. I don't know. But it went on for too long. But with that being said, like, we were in the game being like, this is great. It makes it simple.
That game was fantastic for again, for about an hour and a half. Yeah. It was great. And then it just went on too long.
And then it was 3 hours later, and I was like, what the F? Why are we still playing this game?
And, but again, like, super simplistic, very easy to kind of get in and played, but the setup, I mean, Jamie set it up.
Woo! I literally, as I was setting up, I was like, this gameplay better be worth this setup, because it was...
Yeah, but again, we have the big box one, so.
Big box, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, enjoyable experience. I definitely want to try it again and see if maybe it's quicker, but yeah. It just went on a little bit too long.
Next one on the list was Bad Company, and this one was one of the first ones that we played in the month, and it was really, really fun. I really liked it. I actually knew nothing about it. Did you know anything about it?
I knew. Yeah, I did. Oh, yeah, I knew that it used a similar mechanism to Space Base. So basically, in Bad Company, you have a gang. But it's similar to Space Base. So you're rolling dice, and you have 12 gang members in front of you. And depending on the combination of dice, you're able to activate those different gang members. There's a secondary board that has a car chase mechanic to it. So you're moving a car around this track to get bonuses and that sort of thing. But it's a little bit more beefier Space Base with a heist theme to it.
Yeah, it's super fun, super silly, and I feel like it would play best with more players. Like, I'd love to play this at 4.
Yeah.
I feel like 4 would probably be good, but I had a great time playing it because it was so silly.
Yeah.
I love a good silly game. The artwork was great.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Space Base or Bad Company? Really, I think I'm Bad Company.
Sir John D. Clare. Nothing can beat him.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, fair enough. But I think the added little elements of, like, the car chase and stuff gave that game a little bit of an extra oomph.
It's definitely, like, a beefier type of game. The theme is really fun. It's, like I said, it's silly fun. I don't know, there's something about Space Base that there's just something about it that it's such a tight game. I love it. Yeah. Then we played Fall of the Mountain King, which we also covered in a board game snapshot, so you can go watch that for a full review. We picked this one up at PAX Unplugged this past year. It is an area control game. Now, I also think this game would play better with more players.
Most area
control games do, but I really enjoyed the theme. I really enjoyed the artwork. Another game that has like some silly elements added to it, because the trolls all have like funny names and like everything like that.
We very much enjoyed the action selection mechanic in that game too.
Yes, that's the best part of the game.
You're kind of building out this little tableau in front of you.
Your ancestry.
The tableau is actually how you take actions. There's like placement rules in order to where you can place these placards out, basically.
Yeah, they have to cover at least one quadrant.
And there's like certain quadrants that you can't cover.
6x6 grid.
Yeah, there's certain quadrants you can't cover, and then you can have a maximum of a 6x6 grid. And this grid is allowing you to take your actions, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Very much enjoyed it.
Very fun. I'm excited to try it with more players, for sure.
Yep.
Then we played Fog of Love, which was a very interesting experience. I really liked the game. We did something that we definitely should have done, and that was we played the tutorial. We should not have done that, because I think Jeff's brain drifted off into the sky. So the tutorial is great. It really is. Like, if you're able to kind of sit and slowly go through everything. The problem was I had already watched, like, a how to play video. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The point is, in this game, you are acting out a relationship. You are building your characters, their features, their traits, their occupation, and you are making decisions based on the character that you have built, and you are trying to make your relationship survive. It is such a unique game. We've never played anything like it. I really enjoyed it. I, once again, just wish that we hadn't played the tutorial version because it kind of pulls you out of the game, and then
There's
you're
too
like,
many. It's too many stops.
way too many
It's
stops.
very good to teach you the game.
100%.
Very, very, very good. If that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But you are stopping every turn.
It's like, now read this card, and then you're just reading
I was
aloud.
just, and when you're doing an RPG-esque experience,
Yeah, it takes
I
you
was
out of
just
it.
out.
A little bit. So I want to play, again, we just played like the intro tutorial scenario, so I'd like to play a full-on scenario, but I thought it was such a cool and unique...
We played one scenario after that, didn't we?
No, we didn't.
No.
I would like to play it more and just kind of see how the game plays just on its own without the tutorial, but I thought it was really cool.
I enjoyed it for what it was, and I am excited to try it again without the constant stopping to really like kind of get into the character and stuff.
Yeah, it was funny. Jeff played as his character was an actor.
I think it was like an insecure
nerdy actor, and
Yeah.
I was a wedding planner, and I kept making references to J-Lo, and Jeff's like, why do you keep talking about J-Lo?
Yeah, I didn't get it.
Because Jennifer Lopez, the wedding planner.
I didn't get it at all.
He didn't get it. Then we played Too Many Bones. This was one that we knew would be on, like, our patrons would choose us. We have an entire channel in our Discord dedicated to this game. We call them the Bones Crew.
Cult.
Okay? The Bones Cult, basically.
It's definitely a cult.
Too Many Bones. Number one, it took me forever to learn it. Okay? The rule book wasn't so great. But luckily, the Bones Cult in the Discord, people were sending me videos of how to play. Jeff and I sat down and played and lost so miserably, so horribly.
That almost was it.
It was terrible that we were like, I don't like this game. I don't like this game.
That almost ruined it.
Then we realized, oops, we were playing on like expert mode. And we're not experts at like anything, so we should never have done that.
Nope.
So with some encouragement from the Discord, and they told us kind of things we were doing wrong, we're like, whatever, let's just go for it and YOLO it and play it on stream. We did, and we won, and it was amazing, and now I love the game.
Let me set the scene for you.
Set the scene.
We had progressed all the way to the final battle against our friend Nom.
Nom.
I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
Basically, I went into a room and died immediately.
You didn't even get
and
to
then
take a
Jamie
turn.
came. I didn't get a turn.
And then I came in.
And then Jamie came waltzing in. So, give you some backstory. My character was the tanky, shieldy one. And Jamie was a bit of a glass cannon.
Boomer.
So, I died immediately. Jamie waltzes into this room and she's like,
I got some bombs.
I'm gonna it up. And so she's like, boop, 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 walks over to Nom and just says, you're dead.
Well, Jeff was like, roll everything. And I was like, everything? Shouldn't I roll some defense?
She was going to die regardless on her next turn.
Yeah.
She needed to kill Nom on her turn, otherwise we lost.
Took all of my dice.
She needed a 11. She needed to roll an 11 with all of her stuff. What did you roll?
A 12.
And we defeated Nom.
It was an epic moment. The replay is on our second channel. You can go and watch it. It was amazing. And we fell in love with the game so much so that we just desperately want more characters. I want to play this game all the time. It was great. I understand the cult. I have drank the Kool-Aid.
I have also drank the Kool-Aid. I'm not giving myself into the cultiness of that channel.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. I will say, to echo Jamie, two things. One, there's times when you play games that are just become a core memory.
Yeah.
That is a core, now will be a core memory.
Yep,
for
100%.
me. I will always remember that moment. And two, we are hoping to do some more Too Many Bones specific content, primarily over on Twitch.
Yes.
To be determined. We're still working some of those things out.
Yep.
But hopefully that will happen in the future.
The next game that we were challenged to play was At the Gates of Loyang, which is in Uwe Rosenberg. You know I love to see it. And this game shocked me.
See, here's the deal. I think Jamie likes Uwe games. but she's got this bit now because she loved Hallertau and she loved Gates of Loyang.
And Glass Road.
And Glass Road.
New
and
York
Patchwork.
Zoo.
New York Zoo.
We'll talk about another one, too, in a minute. This is my new favorite Uwe game. There, I said it. Okay?
Over all the other ones?
Over all
New
of the
York
other
Zoo?
ones. Yes. I don't know
Yeah.
what it was about this game. So, essentially, in At the Gates of Loyang, you are, like, sowing fields, collecting your produce, and fulfilling orders for customers. You got casual customers and you got regular customers. And it is just like a resource production machine. That's what you're doing. You are building out your engine to optimize how many things you can bring in to make sure you have happy customers, because if they're not happy, then you're going to lose money. You also have helpers that can come and help you do things. All of this stuff, it just there's something about all the little bits of vegetables that just made my brain happy.
The veggie meeples are very nice in that game.
So colorful.
And it is very
I do
sowing
love a
fields,
good engine.
sowing fields, putting those crops on the fields in order to produce more stuff for your customers. That's basic premise.
It's optimization.
Yeah,
it's one of those games that when you get it going, it just makes your brain feel really good.
If you like math, puzzly stuff.
Puzzling.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah,
it's an old game too. I don't know if you can find it.
I very much enjoyed. I love Uwe, and every time I play one of his games, I'm like, "Yep, I love his stuff." And this was just another example.
Yep.
I don't think I liked it quite as much as you did. I think that's because like you definitely enjoyed more of that combo-y like optimization stuff than I do.
Combos,
I like there to be a little bit more substance to it. It's very just resource. It's just very much resource optimization with not a lot of gameplay outside of that, really.
Yes. Then we played Galaxy Trucker. We have defeated, I'm sorry if you can hear that. Juno is chomping her nails because that's what huskies do. Beans! It's probably enough of that.
She just keeps going.
She might be one of the loudest dogs ever. She's always licking stuff and chomping her toes and
Jamie's
squeaking
been
the
very
ball.
like I didn't even notice it until you mentioned it.
I am hypersensitive.
Jamie's hypersensitive to stuff lately.
Yeah, sounds specifically.
I think you need to like.
I'm in like sensory overload.
You need to like go on a vacation.
It's only 140 some days until we go to Disney World. Can't wait. What was I talking about? Galaxy Trucker. We defeated Galaxy Trucker. Jeff had learned Galaxy Trucker about a year ago, and then for some unknown reason, we just didn't play. Unknown reason. Nobody even knows what the reason was.
Galaxy Trucker is a real-time game that you are basically building a spaceship in order to truck stuff through the galaxy.
You're a Galaxy Trucker.
Goods. You're a Galaxy Trucker.
Cargo.
So the real-time element of this game is you have a timer, and you are going to flip that timer, and then you're going to start grabbing tiles from the middle of the table in order to build out your ship. So you have a little framework that you are allowed to build out within. So each tile will have different ship components on it. So it might be an engine. It might be
blasters.
A gun, like blaster gun. It might be battery chargers to charge your shields. It might be shields. You are building this entire ship in order to hopefully successfully navigate through space to deliver your goods. So after you do that, you then proceed to basically the rest of the game, which is to pull event cards. And those event cards are going to tell you things to do. So it might be a meteor attack. So meteors might be hitting your ship. And if you have shields, you can deflect. If you don't have shields, pieces of your ship are just going to get destroyed. That just happens in this game. By the end of it, you might only have one little tile left.
Sad.
Ultimately, it's impossible to avoid really having damage to your ship. You get pirate raids. You can dock at space stations to pick up goods. All of these things happen. It's silly, nonsense fun, and it's one of those games that you're just probably not going to do good at, but it doesn't matter because it's just fun. It's just silly, nonsensical fun. One thing I want to say quickly about Galaxy Trucker is a really, really good navigation through playing your first game. So it removes the real-time element. It literally gets you to play step by step.
We didn't use the timer in our first game.
So in the first game, the book will walk you through everything you need to do. It's super accessible. Way more accessible than I remember it being the first time I learned it.
Yeah.
Because I think I skipped through that initial, like, thing, and I was like, we can just jump into the real time.
We didn't play with the timer the first time, which was a luxury. The second time we played with the timer, and Jeff's like, it's over, and I had gaps in my ship, and I was like, my ship was literally like maybe 5 tiles, and Jeff had like 13 or 15 tiles, and I was like, what have I done?
Yeah.
What have I done? Because you have to pull a tile, and then you have to bring it in front of you and decide, don't want it, or you do want it. You put it back.
There is a reserve. You can put tiles in your reserve in case you want to.
Batteries. Your cannon's got to be pointing one way, and your rocket's got to be pointing another way, and then everything's got to be connected. But there's connection rules, and anyways. Then, last but not least, we were challenged to play another Uwe game, a classic. In fact, Uwe's first ever game, and that is Bohnanza. Do you like beans? Good. Play Bohnanza.
We have the 25th anniversary edition, just FYI, because it is a bit different.
It is a bit different. We have the 25th anniversary edition, which includes a bunch of different variants, including the dual version of the game for 2 players. So it has a few different rules. There's not really any trading within that version that we played.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really fun. So Bohnanza's basically just set collection. It has a little element of like Scout, where like you can't move the cards in your hand, and you have to plant whatever is first, and new beans have to go in the back, and a bunch of stuff. So there's a lot of placement rules, but it is one where you need to make like some tough decisions for such a simple game. Do I want to sacrifice my green beans in order to get this black-eyed bean? But this bean, there's less of them in the stack, so what if they don't come up? Or, you know, all of these different things. Or what if Jeff steals my beans? I really, really liked it. However, I 1000% just want to play this with a bunch of people, because I do think the trading element is like a huge part of this game that you miss in a 2-player version.
Yeah, I think a lot of the games on this list, we've mentioned, I think, multiple times that would play at a better player count, which I think is...
Probably why we put some of them off for so long.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, that might be part of the reason for sure. But Bohnanza is definitely one that I want to play at higher player count. Not to keep saying that, but I do think that's accurate, because I think the fun in Bohnanza, and I think anyone that's played it would probably agree, is the trading of the cards and having that debate at the table. Because ultimately what you're trying to do is negotiate so that you don't have to prematurely get rid of your bean fields.
Yeah, you want to make money.
You want to make money, and you do that by having a larger set of beans. But I definitely want to try it with the trading piece in it.
Samesies.
Which is weird, because we don't really like negotiation games.
That is true. I don't know.
So I don't know how
that will go.
No, honestly, like I agree. Like,
yeah.
It might be something like we think in theory. We're like, oh, that trading's gonna be cool. But Jamie and I are not.
The only thing, though, is that this game is simple enough. Like, I feel like a lot of times in negotiation and trading, I never know if I'm getting a good deal.
Yeah.
Whereas this one might be like, hey, I'll trade you this green bean if you have a chili bean. You know.
Yeah, you're just looking for something very specific.
Like,
it's
you
not
know
like
what you need.
Yeah,
and
it's
you know
not
what
like
they need.
It's not like, oh, is it worth 5 coin?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. But yeah, those are the 10 games that we were challenged to play from our Shelf of Shame. So 28 games off of the Shelf of Shame, and then a bunch more added to it, because, you know, that's just how it be sometimes. But I think we did pretty good.
This is a good indicator of why, like, people are always like, how do you have so many Shelf of Shame games? Like, because, like, we add, like, 20 of them each month.
And that's okay.
It is okay.
Those are all of the games that we're going to talk about today. That's it. That's all it's it. So if you're interested in buying games, like any of the many that we mentioned today, you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that is...
Boardroom Game Cafe.
Heck yeah, it is. You want snacks? Who doesn't?
Oh, you waiting for me?
Nope. Where should they go, though?
Lunch Pack.
Lunch Pack. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see,
please subscribe.
We hope to see you again soon. And now we say goodbye. Bye.
Later days.
Now, to end off, did I do math wrong? I don't think so.
No, you're good.
Okay, so we played this.
Sorry, I need that. Whoa.
I wish I could do that.
God, that felt good.
I bet it did.
Why can't you do it?
Because when I touch my eye at all, my vision just goes boom. It's gone.
Sometimes my eye, it just feels like you need like a
pressure
release.
I know it.